Hola, bienvenidos. I'm Yarimar Bonilla. I'm the new director of the Center for Puerto Rican Studies at Hunter College. And this is our first webinar event of that new academic year. I'm excited to welcome you. Today is our first event in a new series that we're doing where we are making sure that you hear directly from our researchers, librarians, archivists, and staff. Because although I'm very excited to be the new director of Centro, I'm just a small part of the large team that makes all the programming that we do at Centro possible. Our event today is a Data Hub Cafecito, where we're going to learn about the work that our data analysts are doing, how they're approaching their questions, and get a sneak peek at the new data briefs and data reports that they're creating. You might have noticed we've changed the name of our data center to a data hub, precisely because we want to think of this as a site of encounter, discussion, and collaboration. And from now on, all of our data sets are going to be fully downloadable, and we want to hear from you about what else we can do to support you in your own research. And we want to learn more about the questions that you're asking and the projects that you're developing. You might notice that our topic today is about approaching Maria and approaching data analysis from an intersectional lens. You'll see that at the Data Hub, we're taking on new questions, new approaches to data analysis, and slowly moving towards more mixed methods approaches. So stay tuned because we have a lot in store for you this year. Next week, we're going to have our first library lunch hour. I know a lot of you have been really desperate to get back into the library and archives that have been closed since the pandemic. This is your chance to come on in virtually and learn more about our collections, see what our archivists are up to, and also learn more about the latest in digitization. Since we have a big grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities in which we're going to be able to digitize even more of our collections. So please stay tuned for that and let us know what collections you want to learn more about. We've already gotten some great feedback and suggestions from you, but we want to hear even more about what you want to see and what you want to learn about. Now, in addition to these two signature events from our Data Hub and our Library and Archives, in October, we'll also be launching our new Tertulias series, where I will be interviewing scholars about their projects and also about the personal stories behind their projects. We've heard from you that you want more collaboration, more conversation, and more dialogical events, so that's what we're going to be presenting for you. We also have a couple of special hybrid events and a couple of anniversary events that we'll be announcing very soon that are leading up to the big 50th anniversary of Centro in 2023. And I should note that I am here in Mayagüez at the University of Puerto Rico in Mayagüez. And what I'm standing in front of is a little project of the Sustainable Energy Center, because I'm here doing interviews for a new documentary that we're going to be releasing in November about the energy crisis in Puerto Rico. That's for the new season of Puerto Rican Voices that airs on CUNY TV, and that will begin in November. So in short, there's a lot going on at Centro this year, and hopefully there's something for everyone. And as you can see, we're moving towards being more inclusive and more accessible. So we're excited that our webinars now offer live interpretation in English, Spanish, and sign language so that everyone can express themselves however they feel most comfortable, and so no one can be left behind. So please make sure you stay connected to us, follow us on social media, and keep sending us your feedback and suggestions. We love to hear from you. We can't wait to open our doors and welcome you back in person, but for now, we're very excited to welcome you virtually. So, bienvenidos!
Hi, everyone. I do apologize for the delay in our webinar series. So we got it all figured out. I'm here with my colleagues. My name is Jennifer Hinojosa. I am the research director for the Center for Puerto Rican Studies. We have here Damayra, our research assistant, and Jorge. They've helped put together this wonderful project, and we hope to release our site by Friday, the latest. So we have some few glitches, but in the meantime, we will share some of the key findings and highlights in regards to the vulnerable communities, such as the senior age population and the disabled population in Puerto Rico. So let me share the site, which I still don't have hosting privileges. But in the meantime, I guess let me sort of review some of the things here. Unlike our past research series where we pushed out research briefs and data sheets. For here on out, we will be providing our research in an interactive website. So you will have everything contained in this site. You will have access to the data, any tables and figures and maps. It will be, you guys will have access to that. So, okay, now I could. So here's our site for the 4-year anniversary of Hurricane Maria. And again, you will have access to this on Friday. And I will talk a bit about the aging population, and it's a lot to unfold, but we will highlight some of the key findings to this. But first, I would definitely want to guide you through our timeline. Here we have a timeline series of events that happened between September of 2020 to present day. So a lot of this, again, is available to you, and this was put together by Carlos Montes, a graduate student from UPenn, and he did a wonderful job in putting this together. So again, all of this is available to you. So some highlights and events that had occurred in Puerto Rico between our last 3-year anniversary of Maria to present day. So just sort of really want to scroll down to this wonderful timeline that he provided. Okay. I'm going to jump in because we did start a little bit late into the aging population. So some of the, I'll key in some highlights in this section of our report. In 2020, the seniors made up about 22% of the of Puerto Rico's overall population. And this grew from 20% in 2017. So we did see a bit of a slight increase between 2020 to 2017. And this increase was about 6%. So this is a combination of low fertility, a higher life expectancy, as well as migration. And this is a demographic challenge that Puerto Rico is facing at the moment and will face in the future in regards to this growing aging population. So in efforts to respond to this demographic challenge, such as the growing aging population, hopefully with our analysis, we could provide some sort of overview of where this growth is happening, right? And if this growth is happening in areas that are highly vulnerable. So if and when a next event were to happen, such as a natural disaster or the earthquakes that happened in 2020, or even the COVID pandemic, what we want to focus on is where is the growth of the senior age population occurring, not only at the municipal, at the county level, but dig a bit deeper in looking at this from a barrio level. So here's a map of the senior age population in by the recently released 2020 data. And as you can see here, most of the aging population are located in the San Juan metropolitan area. Sorry. And we see some of the coastal areas as well in regards to where the senior age population are residing in, and not so much here in the central area. And with this mapping, what you can do, you could zoom in. Let me just. And if you're interested, for example, in a particular county, here we have Ponce, it will give you the total population of the senior age population in that particular area. So I'm gonna just keep moving on. In terms of percent change, like I've said before, there was a 6% increase of the senior age population between 2017 to 2020. Let's look at the red municipalities right here. These areas experience a growth in the senior age population. So we see here Tao Alta, Barranquitas, Amorovis, and as well as Loíza right here. And if you click on any of these counties, you will have the information that is specific to that county that you clicked on, as well as it'll, you could see the total number of population between 2017, which then was about 9,993, and you could see that has increased to about 11,300. So again, the increase of the senior age population occurred across the island, except for Fajardo, which is very interesting. Again, this is another map detailing the absolute change in the senior age population between 2017 and 2020. And again, you can click on any of these municipalities right here. Always, look into the legend, because the legend will provide you or illustrate what each color represents. So in this case, the darker the shade represents a larger change, a positive change of the senior age population. So in this case, Ponce, between 2017 to 2020, there's about 1,400 more senior residents in that county. Now, if we take a look at the barrio level, again, this gives you a very nice detail of the senior age population. Again, just similar to what we saw in the first map at the county level, we see a lot of the barrios in the San Juan metropolitan area containing a lot of the senior age population. And I believe Santurce is the barrio that contains the most senior age population as of 2019. So again, you can play around with this at your own time, but if we click here, Santurce, for 2019, there's about 13,159 seniors. So again, this gives you a nice spatial view of the senior age population. And say if there's another earthquake or hurricane, at least we could get a sense of where the senior age population resides in Puerto Rico. In terms of looking at the intersectionality of when we look at race, poverty, or any other social aspects, we sort of, again, this is touching the surface. We haven't gone into depth. But here we have a change of the, This is looking at the breakdown of the senior age population. So even though I say 65 and above, we break it down into 3 age groups within the senior age population. So those that are between 65 to 74, 75 to 84, and 85 and above. So within the senior age category, the 75 to 84 are the largest in terms of the largest sector within the population group of the senior age population. And when we look at the percent change between 2017 and 2020, the 85 and over age group are the ones that we showed a largest increase between 2017 to 2020. With poverty, at least 40% of the senior age population in Puerto Rico live below the poverty level. And then when we compare that to other age groups, such as the children age population, right, we see that in 2017, the children age population had a poverty level of 26% in 2017, and that has declined to 23% in 2019. And when we look at the 18 to 64 age group, there was not much of a change between 2017 and 2019. But the senior age population showed an increase of poverty that jumped from 17% to 20%. So again, we only touched sort of the surface of this. There's many different layers when we look into the senior age population and the growth of the senior age population. But here is a table that we put together. And again, everything is available to you. So for example, if you want to sort the senior age population for 2020, you could sort it by just clicking on the column right here. And as you can see, San Juan County showed the most senior age population between 2017 to 2020. And So everything is available to you, and we have get the data, so the data could automatically download. And then I'm going to pass it along to Damayra, who's going to discuss in depth about the disabled population.
Hello, everyone. So similar to the aging population, we took a deeper dive into the disabled. Similar to the aging population, we took a deeper dive into the disabled population, looking at not only state, but county and at barrio level. So one of the key findings was in 2019, Puerto Rico's total population with a disability was 21.6% compared to the United States at 12.7%. Here we discuss population change. So based on the 2019 US Census Bureau, ACS one-year estimates, more than 1/5 of Puerto Rico's population has a disability. Based on 5-year estimates, although Juanica had the highest percentage of disability at 37.5% in 2019, from 2017 to 2019, Culebra had the highest rate of change at 67.1%. And here we have a table like Jennifer had discussed that you can sort by column name. So if you were looking at 75 years and over, you can just switch it, and there you have Aguas Buenas in 2019, 83.9%. It is a pretty large chart, so you can scroll over and see the percentage change from 2017 to 2019. We also go to the barrio. Again, like Jennifer said, there's more of a deeper dive. This is a very quick and brief explanation. There were 3 barrios in 2019 that 100% of their population was disabled. Algarrobo barrio in Yauco, Juca barrio in Jayuya, and Collores barrio in Orocovis. Here we dive into the households that received food stamps, SNAP, in the past 12 months. Here we have another table. In 2019, 1/5 of the total households in Puerto Rico had one or more persons with a disability and receiving food stamps. Of the total households receiving food stamps, nearly half of them, at 48.1%, had one or more persons with a disability. So scrolling down, you can also get the data, like Jennifer said it earlier, from all these tables. By county, also Juanica had the highest percentage of households that received food stamps in the past 12 months, with one or more persons with a disability. And 21 barrios in Puerto Rico had 100% of their households in which received food stamps. Also, we dive into poverty status for the disabled population. Half of Puerto Rico's population with a disability is below the poverty line. From 2017 to 2019, the rate of change increased by 4.8%, from 48.2% in 2017 to nearly half of 50.5% in 2019. Adjuntas had the largest percentage of those who were disabled living below the poverty level, followed by Moca, Jayuya, Lares, Isabela, Lajas, Juanica, Comerío, and Orocovis. Taking a look at barrio, 4 barrios in Puerto Rico had 100% of their total population with a disability and also living below the poverty line. And that's the deeper dive into the disabled population.
So I know it's a lot of numbers, and again, hopefully with this cafecito, we're able to dig a bit deeper, and any questions that arise, we definitely will be able to answer. But now let's take a look at the cumulative disadvantage. So after learning about the increase of the aging population and disabled population, let's take a sort of a closer look. So just looking at the senior age population in the San Juan area, this is looking at the barrio level. So let me just sort of discuss the layers that we see here. So at the bottom part of the map, we, and this is by the barrio level, by the way, here we map the overall social vulnerability index. And what this index tells us if the area is, socially vulnerable. So we look into poverty, household composition, socioeconomic, income, so different variables. And this is a methodology used by the CDC. And basically what we did, they provide this data at the county and census tract level. However, we were able to replicate this methodology at the barrio level for Puerto Rico and for 2019 using the American Community Survey. So just, very short, the darker the shade represents moderate to high social vulnerability areas at the barrio level. So as we can see here, so that explains the layer below, and this is just looking at San Juan. Now let's overlay that with the senior age population at the barrio level. So as you can recall, I said Santurce in 2019 had the largest senior age population, right, at the barrio level. But if we sort of combine both layers, what we're seeing here is that seniors are actually living in moderate to high social vulnerable areas, okay? So we don't have the answers here why, but this is sort of showing you and analyzing this from a spatial perspective, right? And as you can see here, there's less seniors in areas that are, less vulnerable. So, I mean, if, nonprofits or folks on the ground, if an event were to occur, at least that seniors are living in highly socially vulnerable areas. Now, if we take a look at another area, such as Bayamon, here's very interesting, in which we do see that, again, seniors, are living in these barrios that are highly socially vulnerable. So again, everything is available to you, and I always recommend to look at the legend here. And if you want to sort of zoom in, you're able to do that. If you want to look at what's the number here, so in this barrio, there's about 7,300 senior residents. And when we look at the social vulnerability index, it's a 0.72. So that's pretty high. And if we go up here, let's go back to San Juan. This I just find very interesting with Santurce. So Santurce, we have about 13,159 senior residents. And when we look at the social vulnerability index, it's a 0.80. Again, it's high. So again, when this is available to you, you have access to all of this, and you're able to play around with the data. Now, this is another section of the report related to cumulative disadvantage. So here we mapped the senior age applicants, those who applied for FEMA assistance during Hurricane Maria. So above represents the percentage of the senior age residents that applied for FEMA. And the bottom, again, is the social vulnerability index. So this is a very telling map because, let me just look at the legend right here. So remember, the darker shade, 0.5 and above, represents moderate, and 0.75 represents the highest vulnerability index. So those that were the senior residents that were over 65 that applied for FEMA assistance during Hurricane Maria were actually living in a very high socially vulnerable counties. So we thought that this is very interesting, and there's a lot to untangle here. So again, I know we I created a bunch of maps and tables, but hopefully this can sort of start a discussion of why, what specific areas should we look into? Because we have all these different layers, but again, there's a lot to untangle. Hopefully with this, we'd be able to share with you and you have access to everything. And I think we will end it right there. I mean, it's been 4 years since Hurricane Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico in 2017. So as you can see, communities throughout the island are still recovering, and hopefully with this type of research and sort of looking specifically into the senior age population and disabled population, hopefully we could provide recommendations or even start a conversation about such demographic challenges and these populations living in vulnerable community. So I think I'll end it there. Is there anything else? So Jorge did a great job in creating a lot of these maps, providing the data, so I'm pretty sure he's tired. But we'll end it there, and then we'll do like a Q&A.
I've been having trouble with the
the
arrow to open the questions.
So Camacho, how can
Those are interesting questions.
Okay. So we will look at some of these Q&A right
Do you have
here.
them there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have it here. Okay.
I think you can stop sharing your screen just in case.
Okay. So, all right. So Yolanda, we have, is the population increase because of senior housing, such as nursing homes, senior Section 8 housing? So with this, we're not particularly sure. We know that there's lower fertility rate in Puerto Rico, so families are having less children there. I mean, that contributes to the growing older age groups. We saw that migration also had a huge impact post Hurricane Maria, where we saw a jump of folks leaving. And also a higher life expectancy rate as well. So, but this is something interesting that we could definitely look into in regards to senior housing. Do you define? Yeah, we're gonna definitely share the link on Friday, and we'll definitely make sure that we put that out there via social media. So there's another Ella, do you know we're connected to any orgs on the ground that support older communities and people with disabilities? So hopefully with our next cafecito, what we plan on doing is inviting nonprofits and folks that are on the ground in Puerto Rico, and giving life to these numbers and discuss a bit more about their experience, especially during the recovery process in Puerto Rico, and plus the pandemic that's happening as well. So we definitely, for our next cafecito, we're definitely looking into inviting folks from Puerto Rico who are doing work specifically to this. Let's see here. Oh, counties. Yeah, we go back and forth with counties, but yes, you're right, Yolanda. Municipalities, barrios. I mean, so
in terms of like when we're looking at the data, getting it from the U.S. Census Bureau, data.census.gov, checking for it, they use counties. So it's basically using it interchangeably, even though we are aware that Puerto Rico used municipios instead of counties. But in terms of getting the data, they're calling it counties. So that's why we keep using it interchangeably.
So we already answered this question. Let's see here. Ray said, are you addressing the vulnerability of your population? What health and social initiatives are occurring today to correct the problem? How can we help? How do we reach out to them? This is a great question. Again, we hopefully, this is just a small piece of a bigger project. Working with with Yarimar, we're hoping to go in depth about these vulnerable communities, such as the senior age population and disabled. So again, this is just touching the surface and discussing all these like numbers and looking at this from a spatial perspective. But hopefully we definitely are looking into providing a bit more in-depth information and analysis, and even perhaps recommendations on a demographic challenge such as the growing age population. So we definitely would like to reach out to folks who are on the ground that are doing health and social initiative. If you know anyone, please, let us know,
Send
because
us
we
our way,
definitely, we like to, like, again, all these numbers and figures and graphics, we want to bring life to it and see, what's really going on in these areas. So yeah. You could help us out by letting us know social and health initiatives that are working out. And if you give us contacts, that would be great. We definitely would, love to contact them. Jasmine says, could the number of those applied for FEMA assistance have been affected by access to applications? What options were they given to apply? So yeah, I mean, that has a lot to do with it. Even if we go back to that map and we look at the rural areas or central region areas, there wasn't the amount of application was less compared to the San Juan metropolitan area. So we know that there's a disparity in terms of geographically, disparity in terms of who applied and who didn't. When you put the age layer into that, we have to ask ourselves, do they have internet access? I mean, we know that Puerto Rico didn't have electricity for like a solid, for a long time. And after Maria, so how did they get their hands onto these applications? Did they apply via phone? Was there an issue with language?
Yeah.
So
There's also information about applications and various reports from the GAO, like when they were post-Hurricane Maria, they were investigating like what happened with regards to FEMA's response and how did it play out, and they detail how FEMA had to work out the ways in which they were dealing with the government and with applications, so people could have access to them and actually apply for their grants and everything. There's also, if you want more information on challenges to accessing FEMA's help, there's an interesting piece by Sara Molinari in the book Aftershocks of Maria, where she discusses a particular community that didn't get the necessary funding, including today that the governor of Puerto Rico announced that FEMA was again going to flexibilize or be more flexible with their guidance to liberate money for the government to continue their reconstruction. So yeah, FEMA's not perfect, and applications may be hindered by a number of variables. But in terms of like 65% of 60 people 65 and over, I think when we're looking at that, we could possibly have seen more people applying for help, but the numbers are still pretty high, and I think it's not there. But I think with it, we have to go through our tables and maybe check to see if what percentage of people 65 and over for each municipio applied, which would be an interesting number to see.
yeah, so I mean, again, we don't know why, but
Right,
it would be
right.
interesting to look at it from a spatial, even
Yeah.
demographic perspective on how can seniors or even disabled population have better access if and when another disaster were to hit. So yeah. Let me just see. I think Jasmine, we already answered this. Are the numbers including non-Puerto Rican populations on the island?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, but I mean, there's nothing specific that outlines, yeah.
For the disabled population in specific, it's based on Puerto Rico as a whole.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's everyone.
So,
Race wasn't considered, or ethnicity wasn't considered in this, for this data.
When it comes to the US Census Bureau, they have a limited set of based on ethnicity in terms
Climate.
when you're going into specifics, like disabled population. So that would be more of a 5-year. That would come out every 5 years rather than 1 year, that the data that we're using.
mhm. So, and then that's the other thing that, I mean, we're running out of time, but for our next cafecito, we'll dive into race in Puerto Rico. So we definitely, I'm not too sure when is our next cafecito, but we'll definitely have that announced via social media. And I'm getting a lot of questions about the social vulnerability index. Yes, it's part of Susan Cutter's research. It was, I think here, I have it right here. They look at socioeconomic status index, which includes poverty, unemployed income, and no high school diploma, household composition, the disability index, housing and transportation index. And so all of that combined, when you look at the overall index, it takes into those 4 indices. So we definitely within the site will have the methodology and links available to you so that you're able to see what variables was used to create the social vulnerability index. Social Security recipient. Yeah, we had a section here in our report about Social Security recipients, and definitely once the report is out, you could definitely look into that as well. So I think that's about it. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us. We also ask our participants if they could fill out this, how do you do this? A questionnaire. So, wait, did I just log myself out? Oh no. So please fill out our questionnaire. We would definitely like to hear from you. If you can suggest other ways and formats. And again, I know it's a lot of numbers and tables and figures, but hopefully we could give life to these numbers and figures. And please suggest any other research topics that you have in mind. But do keep in mind this social aging population disabled is we just touched the surface of this topics, and we're looking into collaborating with Brookdale's Healthy Aging Institute to collaborate with them and look a bit deeper about disabled and senior age population. So thank you so much for joining us with this cafecito. There's more to come, and please fill out that survey, and we're here. And if you need any help with data accessibility, just reach out to us. And then once the site is ready, which we're hoping by Friday, we will definitely share it with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.